I am Casey Witt. I am the Superstar Director of the Blazing Supernovas, and I am joined by some awesome ladies. I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you in just a second. But tonight we are going to be talking about growing your business outside of your circle. So growing your business outside of your circle means getting outside of those family and friends. And the way I like to think about it is it's just a hobby until you've done that. If you think about like a plumbing company, and if you were to start a plumbing company, you wouldn't want your family and friends to be your only customers. So that's what you want your business to go into. So I am going to let all of our awesome directors introduce themselves. We're going to keep you for about a half an hour tonight, but so we're going to do this quickly. And we're going to start with Cassie.
Hi, I'm Cassie Shaw. I'm in Florida, and I'm the director of Team Be Brave.
And then Jamie.
Hi, I'm Jamie Batts. I am the director for Team Movers and Shakers, and I'm super excited for this discussion tonight.
And Ms. Kelly.
Hi, I'm Kelly Wiggins, and I am in Virginia, and I'm with Team Dreams Hapa. I'm a star director.
And Ms. Kristen.
Hi, I am Kristen Markert, star director from Philadelphia, and director of Team Sense and Dreams.
And Miss Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Owen, proud director of the Watson Your Warmer team.
Awesome. And we have Hannah, who is kind of in and out tonight. She's having some technical difficulties, so if she pops up, we have Hannah out of Seattle, Washington, or right roundabout Seattle, Washington. So we're going to spend just a couple of minutes talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ways that you can grow your business, like the 6 different basics that you can use to grow your business outside of your circle. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is social media. So Miss Cassie, I feel like you are a superstar when it comes to social media and being positive and always like encouraging your team that way. Yeah, I know, I threw you a...
You're talking to me?
Yeah.
Because I can't understand what you said. Yeah, social media is very important to me. It's pretty much how I've ran my business from the get-go. I guess the key thing for me that I would like to bring up is, as she said, it's very important to be positive. So if you're friends with me on Facebook, rarely will you see me writing anything negative or being rude or sharing anything that may come up as argumentative or anything like that. I think it's very important that my customers and my potential team members see me as positive, and that's the way I live my life. So I do that with my team, and I do it on my personal page, on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere I go. I think it's very important.
And Lisa, you've grown a lot through social media too, like through groups and things like that. Do you want to share some of that?
Sure. Most of the growth from my team came from forums. You know, just as Facebook was becoming really popular, I met a lot of people. When we moved to Facebook, then those connections grew and grew. I was actually part of a boxer dog forum, and that boxer community moved to Facebook, and we have several team members that came from the Facebook groups. And then another thing that I have done is fundraisers. I have done fundraisers on Facebook for like boxer rescues, and really lots of my team members and many of my international clients came from fundraisers and these little communities on Facebook.
Awesome. So, Kelly, you had a lot of success on Facebook as well, right?
Yeah, I actually joined some Facebook yard sale groups that were local to me, and was finding a lot of stuff. I had gotten into a new home and was excited about decor and all that, and reached out to people that way, met a lot of people, and then I ended up having to move, and people were coming to my house, and the first thing they saw was my Scentsy office. So that worked out well, and those people now are loyal customers, and some have joined my team. So reach out to things that are that you find value in or that you have common interest in, and that will naturally unfold.
A tip that I just recently heard, actually in a discussion similar to this one with another set of, with an additional director, was to always have something Scentsy in your profile picture. So like mine now says now hiring. So when I am in those sort of groups, I don't even have to bring up Scentsy. People will be like, what are you hiring for? So they start the conversation. So I think that's a pretty good social media tip. Anybody have anything they want to add?
Yeah, I'll just talk on that for a second. I run a lot of my business through Facebook as well, and this question comes up in my team and my group all the time, especially when new people join and they ask the quintessential, should I start a business page for my Scentsy business, or should I start a group for my Scentsy customers? And my advice is always to just run it from your personal page. You have to be careful with Facebook guidelines, with posting your URL and that type of a thing. So when I'm talking about using social media and using Facebook for your business, it's more so a share your business and share your products instead of selling it. And so I friend request all of my customers. When I do a Facebook party, I friend request everybody that comes and participates in the party. When I go to an event and I meet somebody and we click and we're talking and they want to host a party, or they're interested in the opportunity, or they're interested in buying, I ask them right there, are you on Facebook? Can I send you a friend request? And so my Facebook friend list has grown tremendously, which was uncomfortable for me at first because I was posting pictures of my family and personal stuff. But the more I thought about it, the more I think people want to see me as a person, not just me as like a sales robot, So I think that, like Cassie was saying, keeping it positive is one important thing on your Facebook profile, especially since you are marketing on Facebook. You have to keep it positive, keep it non-controversial, and friend request everybody, because part of this business is wanting to belong and wanting people to feel a sense of friendship, and so by being your Facebook friend, they get that.
Yeah. Can you really quick, Jamie, can you talk about the difference between what you feel like is sharing and selling with your Facebook posts? Like how would you differentiate those?
Certainly. So obviously, like, you never sell stock on Facebook or never advertise you have stock on hand, but just doing something like, hey, I just used this amazing new counter cleaner today, look how clean my counters are, right? And you don't even have to post your website link on there or anything. You can just post like, this is my new Scentsy counter cleaner, and I love the way it smells, and I love the way it cleaned my counters. So it's more of a kind of a side angle approach where you're sharing, or like the kids' bath smoothie. I freaking love that stuff. My kids, their heads smell so good. I find myself like huffing their heads like after they, have taken a bath.
I used it the other day, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it smells good, jammy time all the way. So, you have to, and then you post something like that. Like, I love how my daughter's hair smells like jammy time right now. And it just sparks the interest and the curiosity with, like, maybe I should try that. So it's just more about sharing instead of you getting up there with the sales pitch saying, buy this now, right?
Yeah, that's fair. It's a lot more inviting, right? If you're saying, I love this, and not trying to sell it to somebody, as opposed to buy this from me.
Right.
And I also, and you guys might disagree with me, and we'll move on from Facebook or from social media in a second, but I am opposed to the please help me reach my goal post.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it should be more about your customers and what's going to help them, as opposed to what's in it for you.
You bet.
Cassie?
I just want to say real fast that I'm being told there's no sound on their end.
Oh, no.
Wait, on their end completely?
I've had, well, here, another one's writing me. So if you're on and you hear us, okay, one of them's good. Okay, so some of them are good, some are not. So let's go ahead. Sorry,
Okay.
to make sure we're good.
Maybe message them real quick, Cassie, and tell them to make sure that their computer isn't muted. Maybe that's what it is if it's just a few.
Or maybe they have their headphones plugged in, but they don't have their headphones in their ears.
Got it. Thank you.
I've done that before.
Yep.
So what do you guys think about referral bonuses? Kristen, I feel like you know a little bit about referral bonuses.
I believe in every aspect of life that when behaviors are rewarded, they're repeated. And so really, even if you're not advertising that you have a referral program, if someone is giving you a referral, definitely thank them because, one, they just helped your business out, so that's awesome. But if you thank them, they're going to think you are the bomb because they might not host a party for you, but who doesn't like free Scentsy, right? So now they're that much more likely to give you another referral. So I do referrals for customers, new hostesses, and new recruits. You could do either a specific product or Jamie announced this last night, and I love it, a new or a product credit, which I think is awesome and more motivating for the customer because they get to pick whatever they want at that point. To get it, I most of the time will use a perpetual reward if I have it available to get that, so that significantly cuts down my out-of-pocket, which is awesome. And then really you just want to, if you are going to advertise the program, you have so many options. We have a newsletter that goes out monthly. You can customize it and put that information in there verbally through your presentation at a home party or a Facebook party, and then put that information inside every order that goes out of your house as well. Yeah. So slowly you'll start to get those referrals in, and you can't beat that word of mouth referral. It's the best thing.
As well as your newsletter. You can put it in your newsletter too that you do referrals.
Yep. And I think that if you reward people even after the fact, that's great. I had a gal who, and I kind of almost will do this on purpose and not say specifically what the reward is. I had a gal refer me a party hostess. The party ended up being amazing. There were like 3 parties booked and a consultant and a new consultant. So for that, like, I just sent her in the mail. It was actually an Amazon gift card because I had one on hand. So it was just a little something just to let her know thank you. She's not a Scentsy gal. She's tried and true to the nasty old C words. But so I sent her an Amazon gift card. So even though she is not my customer, she's noticed that through Facebook, she was a high school friend that I haven't seen in years. She noticed through Facebook that I have been working this business and consistently doing it for 4 years. So she knows lots of other Scentsy consultants, but she referred this person to me. So I just a little something to reward her. So.
That's so awesome because you can totally use whatever's within your budget. You don't have to go crazy with it. And yeah, look at what motivates them. That's awesome.
Yeah, or you don't even have to use a bar of your choice or a warmer of your choice. You can just say a bar, and then how many of us have a few extra bars laying around from Bring Back My Bars or Warmer of the Month or Scent of the Month. So, you could just use whatever you have in stock if you don't want to buy something new.
So, Kelly, tell us about your events. How do you get outside of your circle at events? I feel like events are like one of the best places to do that. So what do you do at events to do that?
I do a couple different types of events, and I use a lot of Google searches to find them. I use word of mouth. I get a lot of referrals for events, which would go back to the referral idea of rewarding people, your customers, as a thank you. For events all the time, if I can't do them, then I'll pass them off to my team. But I do fairs and shows outside and inside. I do, at the holiday time, I do lots of schools. And then that can carry over, and you have a lot of repeat customers from that. And then actually another thing that I was talking with Jamie about last night, and I'm going to dangle a little carrot here and say that we'll talk about it more details in the future, but another thing that I do on a very regular basis is I set up at local businesses. So I take some stuff, and usually they provide the tables and chairs. Most of the time they don't charge you. If they charge you, you're donating to some cause of their choice typically, and it's based on your sales. But I set up outside of the cafeteria and during the lunch hour one day a month, and there's 2 businesses that I go to on a regular basis every single month, and then there's another business that I rotate about every 2 to 3 months that I go to only because they don't have as many employees and they're not quite as busy. But I have gotten several recruits from doing that. I have repeat customers. I have customers that have moved on to other jobs and aren't anymore at that location, and they still come back to me. So it's been a huge success. The best way to get into those, and you'll run and write this down because I always would forget, is asking for the concierge, the HR manager, or the facilities manager or organizer. And one of those people would be able to help get you in and get you set up. The best way to get in and find out who those people are is by somebody you know. So touch base with anybody that you know that works at local businesses and ask them if they know of if vendors are allowed to come in there, and you might even be the first one. So I absolutely love it. I swear by it, and it keeps it. I know that that's at least one thing or two things that I have on my calendar every single month.
So what do you do what do you say to people who are like, I do events all the time and I haven't been able to branch outside of my business? What do you do differently that helps you to branch outside of your business, your friends and family?
Well, when I go to do these vendor events, all of these people are brand new people that I'm meeting for the first time, and they're not, so they're not friends and family. They're not acquaintances of anybody that I know. So as anybody is walking by me, the most important thing when you do any event is to make sure that you're front and center at your booth. You're not sitting down. You're not into your phone. That you're engaging people that are walking by. One of the biggest things that I do, especially when I first start setting up at any location, because after a while they get to know you're the Scentsy girl and they know your stuff. Of course, there are those new I was going to say recruits, those new employees that come in who won't have heard of Scentsy, or maybe have moved into the area or visiting for a training or something. But I just talk to them and I ask, my first question is always, have you ever heard of Scentsy, or have you ever tried Scentsy? And just engage them in conversation and share the product with them, and that just creates a customer. Because once they smell it, you sniff it, you sell it. So I go by that motto, and making sure that I'm sharing with everybody that walks by the table. And if they stop, they're mine.
Yeah.
One of my challenges that I set up for myself at events is, so when I do events, it's strictly for expanding outside of my circle. I want to book parties and get new recruits. So one of the things that my personal challenge is to make a friend at each event. So I want to connect with at least one person at these events and collect their phone number and have a conversation that's not Scentsy related with them, either through Facebook or through text. And that sounds silly, like just one person, but when you are at events, it's not always easy to pick up conversations. But if you make it a goal to connect with at least one person, you're good to go. And I know there's other things that folks do at events to get information. Does anybody want to chime in?
I mean, I just asked for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I straight up just say, can I have your information, and I can follow up with you when I run personal sales and incentives, and almost nobody tells me no.
I actually also too, like, I either will get them to fill out the top part of the order form, or I'll do a drawing and have them fill out one of the order slips too. So they're not filling out both, and I can connect and fill in the blanks later if I need to. But that's another way to get them engaged too.
And when you do, oh, go ahead, Kristen.
I'm shameless, and I put a big display of candy out so I can attract all the kids into my booth and start conversations with their moms.
That's awesome. We can do a whole night of talking about events. Like, events are such a big thing.
Well, just one more thing. So at events, when you meet people and you get the contact sheets, either the enter my drawing forms or your order forms filled out, I always will make a note about that person. So when I go to follow up with them, I know who they are, and I can connect with them on more of a personal level and saying, hey, I'm the Scentsy girl, do you need any Scentsy?
And I specifically will note when they say, oh, my consultant stopped selling, or I especially note, this is my first time. I note those things so that I can follow up specifically to those.
Exactly. So, is Cassie having technical difficulties?
Nope, I'm here. I had to get my charger, and I didn't think I would see all that stuff.
All right, so when you're not at events and you are out and about in the world, Cassie, how do you talk to people about Scentsy, or what are some things that you do to kind of get you, get people to talk to you about Scentsy?
Well, I'm not a very in-your-face kind of person, and events are challenging for me. That's a goal I have this year, to get better at it. But I'm very big about branding myself. I have many team members who are on this call that they got to know me because they saw a shirt, a cup, a bag, a hat, sunglasses, shoes, something I had that said Scentsy. And I feel it's very important anytime you leave your house, you not only have something Scentsy on you, but you're prepared with stuff in your bag, a sample, your card to give to someone. You're prepared to talk to people. Take your testers. I had a team member that just had her testers with her yesterday at a birthday party, walks away with a $200 party just because she had a shirt on. I feel like branding yourself is important, especially if you're more reserved when it comes to talking to people, because then they're going to come, when they come to you, it's easier. Now, I'm a mom. I stay home. I homeschool, so we go to the park a lot. So that is a good thing for me. And I'll strike up a conversation, just say, oh, do you work? I do it on purpose. And when they tell me yes or no, then they always ask me. And then I can say, well, yes, I do. I sell Scentsy. I work from home. And it's taken a lot of practice to get to that point to be able to do it. But I think when you brand yourself and people can talk to you first, and you can have that, they'll say, what's Scentsy if they don't know, and then you can talk about it. So I feel like branding yourself is very important.
Yeah, and I think if you're a new person, don't go out and drop like $200 or $300 on Scentsy stuff right away. Like, obviously, you want to start making money with Scentsy than spending, before you spend it all. But, just taking those first few bars that come in your starter kit and making some samples and business cards and using those to your advantage, as opposed to, all the shirts and hats and all those things that you'll eventually accumulate down the road. So you don't have to go all out at first, for sure.
For my first year, let me just throw this in, I didn't buy any Scentsy clothes because I didn't want to put the money in. I wanted to make the money. I did not want to be spending more than me.
Mm-hmm.
Once I went to my first event a year in, I got a shirt, and that was my very first shirt. But what I did before that, and I had told myself as of yesterday, I'm going back to this because it really helped me. I was the crazy person in the grocery store with one of those big old pins. We now sell them in the store, but I got mine from Becca Levi, and I would just wear it everywhere, and people would talk to me. $2 to buy that. I would, like she said, don't go spending a lot, but that pin, it may really put you out there, but it's good. That's what I used for a year.
And I want to share, like, I had to have a lot of dental work done about a year ago, and I hate going to the dentist, but I loved going to the dentist because I took my testers with me, and no matter if I just smelled them a minute ago or an hour ago, I sat every time in that dentist waiting room and smelled my mini testers. And that ended in two recruits from just sitting in the dentist office and striking up a conversation. How many times have you guys heard, is that lip gloss? And then the conversation goes from there. So even if you have nothing that says Scentsy on it, just have your testers or something handy that's going to strike up a conversation. Jamie does her nails. She has the purple and green nails that people are always like, that's a weird combo, and you go from there. Does anybody else have anything on when you're out and about and just talking to strangers?
Branding your car, too. I've had people that have, like, literally called me from behind me while we're driving, or they'll, like, run up to me in the parking lot and ask me if I have a catalog on hand, or, oh, my gosh, I need light bulbs. I don't have a consultant anymore. I need a light bulb. So that has definitely worked for me as well.
And with that comes great responsibility.
Yes. I'm afraid to do that. I'm such a bad driver.
You have to keep a bag
good driver. You have to be very courteous. You have to remember that you are a representative of your business. So
and they can call you and shoo you out. So
exactly. Lisa, you were going to add something. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Well, I just wanted to say that sometimes, I mean, all your ideas are great, and I brand very heavily myself. But it's not. People aren't always. Some will come to us, and that's awesome when they do. But we have to put ourselves out there, and not always does Scentsy have to be the first word out of our mouth. Sometimes it's just making new connections, finding things in common, so that you just kind of get that foot in the door, make a new friend. If your
Make a
goal
new
is to make
friend, find them on
Yeah.
Facebook, friend request them, and then
Yep.
harvest the relationship that way.
Yep.
For real.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
then I think the best way to move outside of your friends and family is through home parties. I think home parties, you have a captive audience for an hour or two, and you are going to be meeting all kinds of people. Like, even if your best friend throws a party and you feel like you know all of our friends, there's going to be at least one person at that party, her aunt or her cousin that you didn't know before. So there's always that chance of connecting with that person and then getting your foot in the door with them and moving on to their friends and family. So there's this lull of 150. Like, every single person knows at least 150 people. That doesn't mean they talk to 150 people every month, but every person knows at least 150 people. So if you go with that law and you are at a party and there's 10 people there, you have the potential of connecting with 1,500 people if you do it right. And that's big goals. And I can't say that I've ever gone to a party of 10 people and connected with every single one of them. But you have that potential there. So if you keep that in mind and you end up with just making a friend with one of them or booking a party with one of them, then you're growing your business right then and there. It's not always about getting bookings. Bookings are great, and that's an instant way to get outside of that circle. But again, it's that connecting with them, getting them on social media, finding something that you guys have in common that you can talk about, and then growing your friendship and the possibility for business relationships from there. And I think that if you provide great customer service and you're consistent, people can't help but talk about you. So, like, that's like the number one thing for me is just always being there, giving exactly what you promise, under promise, over deliver, and people are going to talk about you. If you do that and they know 10 Scentsy people, they're going to say, oh, I know a Scentsy girl, and they're going to refer them to you.
Mm-hmm.
But so I feel like I kind of glazed over home parties. Does anybody have anything else they want to add about home parties?
I just want to add on to the last part that you were just talking about for the customer service. I think it's so important, and this isn't one of my great qualities, but I have a team member who, that party comes in the door, and either that day or the next morning, it is back out being delivered. And I really attribute so much of her success to that because people rave about it, and they always come back to her for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely a necessity. So I guess if anybody does anyone have anything to add about home parties?
I was just going to say treating the hostess really good too, and giving them things that they can use to help advertise the party outside of the party, like basket parties, and creating a Facebook event, offering to do their invitations for them. Of course, that goes along with customer service, but if you're treating the hostess really well, it's another way that she's going to talk about you, and you can get referrals that way. And having fun at the party, doing something fun. It doesn't have to be a game, but make it a theme, make it do a door prize, something like that, just to get people engaged with each other. Also helps with all of that too.
Or play a game, but it doesn't have to be a Scentsy game. Just play a fun, silly game. Just like go to Google and type in like fun party games, or watch Ellen, right? Like all the crazy games that Ellen like plays on her show. I'm like, I want to do that. That looks so fun. So when people are having fun at the parties, they're gonna want to know you better because you're the fun Scentsy girl or guy.
And they'll spend more money.
Yeah, they'll spend more money. Then you can friend request them on Facebook and keep sending them seeds.
And be authentically you. The other thing, too, though, is stretch beyond your comfort zone, because the more that you are authentically yourself, but you're stretching yourself a little bit more, people are you're going to be very attractive to people, and people are going to want to come back to you, and they're going to want to refer you because, like Jamie said, you're that fun, Scentsy girl. And there's going to be that attraction there, and then eventually, because of all of that, they're going to join your team. So it's just like a win-win all the way around.
It is.
So I wanted to go back. We talked about fundraisers, and Kelly mentioned basket parties a little bit. One of the things I wanted to bring up about those was when you give out a fundraiser or you give out a basket party, you want to make sure you give strict instructions about the top of the order forms being completely filled out, because the fundraisers, the reason why you do them is to get outside of your circle and to help a cause, but business-wise, you're getting outside of your circle. And you can't do that if those order forms aren't filled out. If it says Sally, you have no connection to that person at all. So
Or Sally's mom.
Or Sally's mom.
You have to highlight them. I highlight every single order form in a basket party or a fundraiser.
I do as well.
Everyone that comes back, like, people are like moths to a flame with a highlighter. They're like, oh, it's highlighted, I have to do it. So I do it.
In order to get them filled out, I tell them why I need it filled out. And the reason I need it, why it filled out, is because I don't have any connection, and if I have a question when I'm entering that order, I need to be able to communicate.
Yep.
And
I always like to throw in there that our products have a lifetime guarantee, so I like to have the product attached to the person's name. So I want to keep track of who bought it, and so I can honor that guarantee, even though, you know, there's a workaround, but I feel like that's a good way to do that.
Right.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then I also wanted to add that at home parties, Kelly said you can be authentically yourself, and you don't have to be perfect. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are afraid to start because they don't know what they're doing. My first home party, it was at one of my great friends' house, and I just started babbling because that's what I do, and I ended up like talking about my husband pooping and how great since he worked.
The more relatable you are, the better the person.
Yeah, that's true.
And they know if you're nervous and just splurting out words that aren't you, people are going to know and pick up on it. But the more you're you, the more they believe in you and trust your product.
Yeah. And the more complicated you make the party, like if you're, this is a total side note, and we can do a whole training about parties, but like the more complicated you make a party, like, oh, I'm going to do this game, and then I'm going to do this game, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, that you're making it like that. It doesn't have to be like that. Make it fun and make it you, and don't worry about all that, because then you're going to feel like you need like your script handy so that you're like, okay, next on the agenda, right?
They don't know what to expect. Every party's different, so it is what you make it. So
yeah.
All right, so we have about 7 minutes left, and I figure we can take
few
some questions.
Yeah, there were 2 questions that popped up on our page yesterday. Kelly asked, and I mean, they don't really have anything to do with what we were talking about tonight, but I don't want to ignore them, so we should probably answer them. Gail Flynn said, I want to earn trips, although I have made many sales goals. I seem to be short, just doing this part-time. So I guess she's wondering how to earn the trips.
I think that if you're working to earn a trip, you have to work full-time.
Yeah,
you have to work business hard. You don't get the trips by working part-time.
Yeah, like when the incentive period starts, like our summer incentive, like hopefully it starts May 1st, like it has in the past. Like May 1st, it's like game face on. Like I'm doing this, I'm earning the next free trip. August 1st comes, game face on, I'm doing this. I'm never missing a trip ever.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and I'm gonna disagree at the same time. I think if you recruit, you can do it. You know, if you're a super recruiter, you can do it at part-time.
You have to be a super duper recruiter.
You have to train, and you have to. But anyway, that's another topic.
So, then, did anyone else want to speak to that?
I think I worked full-time while doing this and earning trips, and if you're doing your consistent, small tasks every day and taking that 20 minutes or an hour and just doing the things you need to get done, it can happen. It's just being diligent with your time and intentional.
Yes.
Yeah. Being intentional, that's a good word.
That's a great word.
I feel like you have to make a plan, you have to set goals, and along with being consistent, you have to you have to be consistent and work for those, but what is it? A goal without a plan is a plan to fail. And I tell my team that all the time. If you say you're going to earn this, but you don't have a way to earn it, you haven't written it down on paper, you're not looking at it all the time, that's just, to me, that's the way I've been earning things, is because I make it a plan.
Oh, yeah.
You have to write it down, and you have to, sometimes having somebody help hold you accountable and letting somebody else know what your goals are, too, is really important.
Totally.
So sharing that. Everybody good? I have one more question I can read real quick. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Teresa Cox.
Fraunfelker.
Thank you. Did not want to vouch. So she said, I'm a newbie, so any advice is appreciated. I'm interested in any information on PayPal or any other information taking credit card payments. I think I should get something, but I don't know the details or where to start. I want to know if anyone else does the treasure box at home parties and thoughts on that. Thanks. So really quick, I always take customer card information. I know everybody is very different on this, but if they can give me card information, I take it. And then I always make sure that I have a phone number that I can use to follow up with. I have a reader. I have not had to use my reader. I do accept PayPal payments and Venmo, which is a new app that you can get that's like exactly like PayPal is now too. So you have multiple ways to do that, but if you're not comfortable with that, you could always stick with cash depending on the venue that you're doing and how easy you think that would be.
Yeah, I use the Square app when I card swiper when I'm doing like an event, and I mostly do that because 90% of the people don't have cash on them, or they don't have enough cash, or whatever. So I feel like people are going to spend more if they don't have to have the cash for it. They'll just put it on their card. So I do that, and then for a lot of like my Facebook parties and just like general exchanges, like just collecting money for the bus and little things like that, I use PayPal. So I have PayPal that's like just in and out of my Scentsy account, and then the Square app, which swipes, and it charges you just like PayPal charges you a small fee. It's nominal, and it's worth it just for the ease of taking cards.
And it's a business expense.
Yep. You can deduct all those things.
Yeah.
And side note, so there is a new law that makes merchants a little bit more accountable for collecting information from people. So now Square has the chip reader, and it costs $50. It's a good investment. It just gives you another layer of protection. I want to speak to getting emails and taking, because we all know there are, since she's a newbie, there are a lot of the scammers out there, and there's the certified check. I'm going to send you this amount, and it's not the right amount. That's never good. If they're sending you a check and it's not the right amount, just don't even fool with it.
I don't even take checks. Unless it's someone I know, I don't take checks.
She also asked about the treasure box. And that we can probably talk more in detail, like when we talk about parties and things like that. But for those of you that aren't familiar, it's a fun little box that you put in treasure items that have to deal with your journey with Scentsy, and you are basically sharing your journey and your why, and your goals. It's a very powerful tool to use. I have one. I personally have not taken it with me, but that's a goal of mine. I have a party coming up on Saturday. So, Jamie, hold me to it.
Do it, Kelly. Do it.
I don't know about this. You'll have to tell us more.
Okay, I will. So, see, now we have to have another one on.
Do we grab mine? Mine's like right back there on the shelf.
No, we're running out of time. We're going to stay on time. Cassie
I love the idea. I love the idea, and it's one of those things that you can just kind of set aside at an event or a party, and people are going to ask you about it because you put a lot of goodies in it, and stuff like gifts that you get from other consultants, or like your lanyard that you get at reunion, and just things like that. And people are going to be curious, like, what is this? And you talk about, well, these are all the fun treasures I've collected since I've been a Scentsy consultant. These are all memories. They're special to me, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just another way for you to share your passion and your love for your business.
Cassie, you got some questions, I hear.
Yeah, I'm having trouble getting to it. Do you have another one while I'm trying to get over there? Every time I run more than one program, it's time to get a new computer, don't you think?
Maybe. I just see the questions that are on Facebook.
Okay, yeah. Someone posted one on my team page. Hold on, I'm there. Let me get to it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm having trouble expanding out. I have not read this, so if we've answered it, I'm sorry. I'm having trouble expanding outside my circle. Only 3 home parties in the books and 1 basket party that was really good. But I don't get repeat orders from any of those customers. I've followed up with emails, and I get no responses. I write personalized thank you cards, etc. Not sure how else I could branch out and get new customers.
Number 1, call instead of email, because it's more difficult to ignore a phone call than an email. Too many people get emails. And number 2, all the things that we mentioned, like the referral bonuses that we talked about, the doing a simple event like Kelly was talking about, even just setting up at someone's lunch hour to try to get contacts that way, not just sales, and then the whole Facebook presence thing.
Yeah, and yeah, friending them on Facebook. The other thing, there's a picture floating around. I think, Jimmy, you might have posted it, that we can find and post in the director discussion about follow-ups, and that being consistent with it, doing it more than once, using more than one type of way to reach out to somebody. So if you're emailing and they're not responding, then you're using Facebook, or you're calling, or you're texting. Just use a different method and try to see, because a lot of the times it really boils down to either how often they're checking it or what their preference is of communicating. And if it's not their preference, they usually won't respond. So
I have something too, as far as I know, when newbies start out, getting on the phone is a very scary thing. So one thing I used personally to help with that was Slide Dial. So in the beginning, it's a blind calling system. You put the info in, it goes straight to their voicemail. But so it gets you more comfortable with calling them, and then they can always give you a call or a text back, and then you're back on the phone with them. So it's something to get started with when you're starting out.
good idea.
Okay. Does anybody have any more questions?
Cassie, did you have more?
That was the only one, but I think it would be beneficial when we're finished, those of you that attended this, if you would share with us in the director page we had, or the event, what you thought about it, and if you would like more trainings, and maybe what you would like it on.
Yeah, tell us what topics you're thinking that you might want, or just give us some feedback, because it's our first time doing this, and we'd love to hear back from you what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want more of, less of, etc.
So next time, we are going to do it again next time, and the only thing that we've lined up, we haven't lined up a date or anything, but we lined up that we're going to tell you guys our stories individually so you can hear where we started and how long it took us to get to where we are. So you'll hear a little bit about our journey, and we have to see the treasure box, I think.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right,
Get it
guys.
together, ladies.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.